Alright, in this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at the recent common tests, and I'm going to be going through the questions, sources, as well as the answers. Let's start with the first one. Study source A. What does the source tell you about the life of people in Singapore during World War II? Okay, so what you should have done is underline the important part of the question, which is life of the people during World War II. Okay, so your answer should, for your answer should start along the lines of the life of people in Singapore during World War II was ... Okay, let's take a look at the source. Right, I'll be going through the sources. My assistant will be reading it out for me, so that we can take a look at any parts of the source which you might have left out as you read it.
A unique feature of the occupation period was the making of substitutes. This came about because during the occupation, a kind of chemical oil was developed from coconut oil. Wheat, flour, butter and milk were sold at such high prices that the people were forced to find substitutes. Cakes, bread, cookies were made with chemical flour or sago flour. Fiber was obtained from the leaves of the pineapples and used for making paper, while the fiber from coconut husks was used to make rope.
So obviously from this source you can tell that it is about food, and during that point of time, if you can recall, food was in shortage. There was not enough food. So let's take a look at the model answer. Do copy down as I'm going through. Remember, if I'm going too fast, do stop the video at any point of time. Source A tells me that life in Singapore was difficult as there was not much food. This is evident in the source, which says wheat, flour, butter and milk were sold at such high prices that the people were forced to find substitutes. Alright, so what I'm looking for is an adjective, a description, an inference that has to do with food. Okay, life in Singapore was difficult. Why? Because there was not much food. If you're able to give me this answer, then you would have been able to score the full 5 marks. Right, let's move on to the next question. Study source B. What is the motive of source B? Okay, a motive is like a purpose of doing something. Okay, so what was the purpose of producing source B? Let's take a look at this long source. Again, I'm going to get my assistant to read it out for you in a while. Looking at the provenance, we can tell that it is a view of the Japanese occupation by the Japanese newspaper. Okay, so since it's by the Japanese newspaper, you can already tell that they have some sort of purpose by writing this article. Let's go through the source.
The 14th of March 1942 brought to a close the first month of Japanese rule over Saonin. A complete transformation had taken place, and we now see a smiling, clean, fresh-looking city, looking forward to a greater period of prosperity under Japanese rule. The greatest blessing to Saonin people during the month has been the continuation of the electric light and water supplies. Conditions will soon be back to pre-war times. Today we are free and equal members of a new order asterisk, a new order which offers freedom and equal opportunities to all. New order here refers to the new society that the Japanese promised to create in the territories they conquered.
Okay, so you can tell from this source that they are being very positive. Everything looks very good and things are going to go great. So what is the purpose of them publishing this source? Let's take a look at the model answer. This question is worth 6 marks, and this is what you expected. to give in your answer. The motive of the Japanese is to influence the people in Singapore to believe that the Japanese rule would be better than the British rule. It was used as a form of propaganda by the Japanese to make people believe that life improved under the Japanese rule. So now, why were they producing this propaganda? The outcome was that the Japanese wanted to gain the support and trust from the people after reading the news article, and it would probably be to support and trust the Japanese. Okay, we're now going to move to the final source-based question. Source C and D. Okay, so this is a comparison question. We have had lots of practice with this question. Source C is a very straightforward source. It's not too difficult to understand. It says here it's a cartoon about the use of water torture on a man. We can probably guess that it's probably a Chinese, and these are the Japanese soldiers performing the water torture. In source D, an extract on the treatment of the prisoners of war in Singapore during the Japanese occupation. I'm going to get my assistant to read it out for me again.
Life was hard for the POWs. Some were sent to Thailand, where they were made to construct a railroad. It was difficult working on the railroad as the men were given simple tools to cut huge trees and rocks. They were made to work long hours and were not given enough food to eat. The Japanese engineers had estimated that it would take 5 years to build the railroad. But the POWs were forced to work so hard that it was completed in 16 months. The whole project cost the lives of thousands of people who worked on it, and the railway became known as the Death Railway.
So you can see from this source that it is largely negative, telling us about the horrible things which happen to the POWs. Now, let's do a comparison between these two sources. Alright, let's start. Both sources C and D are similar about the cruelty of Japanese during the Japanese occupation. This is the common criteria. Source B shows the Japanese Kempeitai was smiling when he was using water torture on the men. Evidence for source B. And source D says, this should be source. And source D says that they were made to work long hours and were not given enough food to eat. Okay, so both are evidence of cruelty. Next up, we have the common criteria, the common difference for source C and D. Source C and D are different on the type of punishment by Japanese during the Japanese occupation. Source C shows a man was brutally treated by the Kempeitai, and source C shows that the POW being tied up. Source C shows the POW being tied up by the Japanese, and he was helpless when given the water torture. Next evidence is however, source D talks about POWs being sent to Thailand as forced labor to construct the Death Railway. Source D says some were sent to Thailand where they were made to construct a railroad. So here we obviously see two different types of punishments for the POWs. Right. With that, I end my tutorial. Thank you.